In today's episode, we continue our conversation about what it means to go from shame to freedom and what it takes to reclaim your life after being told to deny who you are. This is part two of this powerful story, and let's keep moving forward together.
Hey, this is Steph, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast.
A podcast helping 2S LGBTQI plus people embrace self love and self respect so you can celebrate yourself with pride.
Season 3.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steph Bachal, and I am a human being. Welcome back to the Together Moving Forward podcast, a podcast helping 2S LGBTQIA plus people embrace self-love and self-respect so you can celebrate yourself with pride. If you've ever struggled to fully love and respect yourself, you're not alone, and this podcast is here to help. As someone who has navigated my own journey of self-acceptance as a queer, I know the power of hearing voices that reflect our experiences. In this podcast, you'll hear real stories and conversations that will leave you with practical tools, fresh perspectives, and the confidence to embrace who you are with pride. I'm really happy to be here with you for today's part two of this amazing episode with our guest Lalo León, a Latino bisexual and 10-year conversion therapy survivor. To start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist, a specialist, or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I won't tell anyone what to do or how to do things. Instead, I'll share my journey and we will all share our journeys together. We'll learn from each other how to move forward. Before we go any further, if you like this podcast, please subscribe now and share, because the more we unite, the stronger we become. It might seem like a small gesture, but it truly makes a huge difference. Without any more waiting, let's listen right now to the final part and conclusion of this episode with Lalo, who turned shame into freedom. You've said that self acceptance often begins as a private seedling before it blossoms into public confidence. What does self love look like for you today?
Self love. Well, I'll give you the context of what made me want to write the book because I think that really does illustrate that. When I came out and kind of had the realization of, wow, I went through a really awful experience of conversion therapy. The first thing, and I think it's a natural thing, is to go fight against it because you're that pissed off. You want to have some sort of, I don't want to say vengeance, but a vengeance for that. And I had contacted some support groups. I had contacted some political groups and got involved into defending or even advocating for bans of conversion therapy, for minors in Arizona. And I had gone to the state capitol. I had talked to state senators, state representatives, elected officials. I remember one in particular was an opposition official. And he, in the midst of me, telling this horrible story, which was still very fresh, still even telling it was traumatic, he had said, there is a cemetery down the street from the state capitol. Most bills will end up in that cemetery before they even make it through committee, which was kind of rude coming from someone that's supposed to be in power. And I don't hold back. And I said, well, sir, I think you're a lot older than me. So I think you're even closer to that cemetery than I am. So I'll probably still be here yapping about this before you can stop it.
Good for you.
But then that kind of clicked in me where there was a point where I said, you know, yes, this thing was awful. This thing was horrible. Yes, it should stop. Yes, there are things that should be done to limit it or prevent it from happening. But it's very easy to get sucked into your life becoming a cause and then you not living your life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, especially because if you're a marginalized community, the belief is that your life is a struggle. Your life is meant to be an example. It's meant to be something to be told later on as some virtue of progress through society. But at the end of the day, you are still a person and you still have your own personal life to live. And you shouldn't forget that. So for me, the self love was really learning the balance between fighting the fight
Mhm.
and also, enjoying a cocktail when I want a cocktail because I want some libation on a Friday night and go out with my friends and have the normalcy that I had been starved of for so long. So I think when it comes to self-love, it really is being selfish. And that's not a bad thing to be
No,
selfish for yourself. In fact, it is encouraged to be selfish, and again,
it's
coming
essential. It's essential.
it is essential. And coming from a religious community where
Mm.
selflessness was such a virtue, was this idea that you're supposed to give yourself to everything. I mean, there comes a point where you just get so tired that you just get burned out. You don't want to do anything, and that's not good.
Mhm.
It's not good for a cause. It's not good for you. It's not good for people around you because then you become a miserable person. They have to deal with you. There's a point where you have to just really accept that the selfishness for your time is important. You are just as important as the cause. In fact, you're probably more important than the cause. And how you live your life will probably speak more volumes about the cause and affect more change than trying to fight the cause direct. And that
Exactly.
and that has been kind of the thing that I have found is that I I'm not advocating every day for, queer rights, trans rights, gay rights, bi rights. But just the fact that I am in an environment where I am the only queer person that people know, the conversations are there and the minds are being changed. Like, oh, I didn't know that that's something that you guys go through. Oh, wow, I didn't know conversion therapy was like that. I thought it was just like some stupid joke like on Family Guy about going to gay camp. You start to have those real conversations, which
Mm.
at the end was what I really wanted from my elected officials, was just a normal conversation instead of this political debate. And that's kind of why I ended up writing the book, was because I didn't want to fight people with an agenda. I wanted to speak to the people behind the people with the agenda. I think that was the more important conversation to have.
I think what you're saying, the key is really to keep a balance because you have to take care of yourself and be healthy before you go for the cause. Because if you're not,
Hmm.
in shape and you're not healthy, you're gonna burn out.
Hmm. Yeah, causes are good, but when you get lost in them, there's no difference between being lost in a good cause and being lost in a bad cause.
Yeah.
You're still being lost and you still have to find yourself.
Hmm.
And if you're barely coming out of trying to figure out who you are, the best thing is to figure out who you are. You have to have that strength to be able to push against the world, because if not, the world will swallow you up.
Hmm. In your story, solitude and creativity play an important role in healing. What practices help you stay grounded and connected to yourself in difficult times?
Really, a lot of people think solitude is loneliness. Solitude isn't loneliness when you are satisfied with who you are.
Mm.
Loneliness is when there's something that you need beyond yourself. That is true loneliness. And solitude is really just, I consider another form of self love. So for me, when times get difficult, the best thing to do for me is create. Um, Obviously, writing had always been something that I always done. In fact, writing was really the skill that I sharpened the most during conversion therapy, because there was a lot of self-reflectance, a lot of self-analyzation. What are my thoughts? I'm always writing down these things. I mean, even to the point where for 10 years, I documented every single day of my life. And I still have volumes and volumes of journals that I can still look back and reflect on these things. But that skill really did come in handy to be able to have a point of where the world will make you feel like you've lost control in tragedies, and creativity, that is your world that you still have control over.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of does sound like you have like a little bit of a God complex because you're creating something and you get to manipulate it and all that. But in the grand scheme of things, that control, that ability to exert that free will on your creativity really does help to say, I still have some things that I am in control of. And it helps to keep you from going off the deep end of the world is falling apart, the world is going to hell. You still have some bit of grounding that, keeps you with one foot in reality. And even when things are getting really bad for me, emotional wise, the first thing I do is open up a notebook and start writing. Even if it's something reflective, if it's, the beginnings of a novella that will never be published, it's still something. And being able to exert that really is probably the best Prozac that I can find without the side effects.
Totally agree. The more I interview people, it all comes down to this. Like the best way to take care of ourselves, to heal, is really to create something that you love doing.
Mm-hmm.
It helps so much.
Absolutely. I think one thing that I'll add to that is creating for yourself. Don't create for other people. Create for yourself, and don't try to make something that, I hope somebody else will like this.
Yeah.
The entire world will not like anything that you create. There will be a small group that will like it. Hopefully it's a larger than small group. But when you create for the simple joy of yourself, you create that sense of self-fulfillment.
Well, I will add also, I think to find what you want to create is try to go back when you were really young. What did you like? What was easy for you? What were you going towards to? I think to find again who you were when you were a little kid helps you find what you want to create today, will help you just keep moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You've talked about the lasting shrapnel of conversion therapy. What would you like our listeners to know about its long-term effects?
So this would probably be one of the more hot takes on conversion therapy. I've come to a place where, let me just say it this way. When it comes to conversion therapy, once you stop it and you recognize what it has done for you, what damage it left with you, the most honest and I would say the most human reaction is obviously anger, resentment, frustration, questioning why. And that's all part of the grief process because you are grieving essentially lost time. For me, it was 10 years that I lost. The fertile time of just exploring who you were in your 20s.
A long time.
Yeah. And it's normal to have that. And it's a very human reaction to say everything that was involved in conversion therapy is all bad. You want to completely negate it. You want to completely distance yourself from it, isolate it, and try to cover it up or try to atone for what had happened. I think after some time, and again, this might be just for me because I had been through it for so long, there were some things that conversion therapy did that weren't all negative. I don't think there was a lot of things like I would not have done because of conversion therapy. I would never have tried. And I wouldn't have ever been forced to not be the shy kid that I was growing up. So there's always that complex feeling of, I know this is a horrible, horrible experience. And I've always hated when people say, well, things happen for a reason. I was like, well, this really was not a reason for these things.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'm at right now is really just learning to accept this and to say that this is something that is now, as much as I don't want it to be, is still a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
What has been there, what has been done, I can't go back and change the past. I can't undo the years of practice that are kind of drilled and etched into my brain. I can't undo that. I can learn to work with it. I can learn to live with it. I'm at that point where I have to accept those parts of me. And in particular, the things that I've noticed, and again, it is the feedback I get from people. If I meet someone new and I don't say anything, their automatic response is, oh, he's straight. I was like, well, I guess I practiced that enough to say that, okay, it's still coming out. But I'm at that point where I'm still wrestling with the loss of my quote unquote queerness from when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Will I ever get it back? Probably not. Would I go through the efforts of trying to undo everything that happened? Probably not. So what is the purpose of me having this? And it's not trying to find some master plan with this. It is really just seeing what the utility of having these skills now, what do these play for me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are the things that still come up. I stopped conversion therapy 2014. It still plays within my life and still recognizes these things. I mean, yeah, you can undo some things. Like I remember the first thing that I tried to undo was, this is so dumb, was pushing an elevator button. Like, this is how a straight person, let me see if I can do this on the camera. This is how a straight person pushes an elevator button. This is how a gay man pushes an elevator button. So just being able to be comfortable with doing this, that was a big deal.
Wow, this is like such control freak effect. Wow. Like people that don't see it right now that are not on YouTube, it's just a way to push with your finger. If you bend your finger, you're pushing like a gay person. And if you push it really straight, then you're straight. Wow. That's incredible. That makes me upset. But at the same time, yeah, that's wow, controlling, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is like, when I told my friends about it, it is like, a Clockwork Orange. That's the level of it. I mean, no one's pinning my eyes open and making me watch straight things. I'm not watching, NFL football for 12 hours a day, and hopefully this will make me straight, even though everybody's running around in tight pants. But at a certain point, those were the little things that really did play a heavy role in my everyday life. And
Of
just
course.
those were the things that I could change. Can I change my affectation? Not really. When I'm around people that know me and when there's a point where, I'll quote unquote get up and I'm like, girl, they know that that's not me. They know that that's fake. So there's the part of me that I wish that was partially, I wish that was real, but it's not. So how do I navigate the world as someone that has survived conversion therapy for so long? Those are the things that really do come up. And, I've kind of resigned myself to say, like, this will be an ongoing process for the rest of my life. So you get used to it, get understanding of it, and stop thinking of it as a negative thing and really just try to see, okay, accept it, understand it. How can you use it?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that affect the person and the lives that you interact with, the people that you have close relationships with. How does that fit in?
Okay, I'll share something with you. What you just said is just so amazing because I'm still experiencing it as being told my whole childhood that was just a fag, a homo, a sissy, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I became such a control freak on the way I stand, the way I speak, my voice, the way I walk. Everything was so had to be so calculated, and it was so exhausting. And today, what I experience is that sometimes I will be like, oh my God, I'm not looking at how I'm speaking anymore. I'm just being, myself. And this is like so, it's just so,
Liberating.
oh my God. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. But even sometimes I will have a flashback like, did I speak properly? Was my voice okay? And I'm 56 years old. I'm talking about my childhood now. So it's still something that is I carry every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting better and better and better. But when you go through things like this for years, you have to learn to live with it and you have to learn to undo it. Like you say, it's going to be a lifetime thing, I think. I used to tell my therapist, like, am I going to be cured one day? Am I going to be like totally like happy? And he just laughed. He said, actually, what he said, how many years have you been feeling like this? And I started my therapy when I was early 30s. So that's
Mm-hmm.
like close to 30 years of it. And he's like, well, just go like another 30 years for sure. And then we'll see, you
Yeah.
know? So, yeah, the impact of what we had to go through and what we have to learn to you still carry it. It's less and less heavy. It's lighter, but there's still a struggle sometimes. And how amazing that, yeah, we do have to learn with it and actually give ourselves some space and peace that we're not going to be exactly maybe who we should have been, but just to give ourselves some credit and some peace also, to not be so hard on ourselves, to be who we think we should have been if we didn't have to go through all this.
It comes back to the biggest person you have to accept is you.
Mm.
And once you start that, nothing else happens. And again, the whole thing about conversion therapy is like you're trying to be someone you're not. And then you have to accept who you are and who you're not.
Mm.
And it's not just like, oh, I accept myself and then that's it. No, it's a daily struggle. It is a daily reminder. It is a daily thing. And yeah, every day there will be one thing that will just come up. I thought that was over. I guess not. So let me get my journal out and start writing again. But that's kind of the process. And I think you have to give yourself the allowance that things will come up, things will happen, and know that you've got the tools to process it. But other than that, you can't prevent everything that's going to come up and make your day hard. That's life.
But there's days that you're going to be really happy about, oh my
Yeah.
God, I acted like totally myself today and I didn't act the old way. And, good for me. So there's both. And
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of it. That's the growth of it.
Yeah. And taking those days in stride and really, really enjoying those days and savoring those days. Those days actually become evidence for when the days are bad. Like, no, 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 there was a good day. I remember that good day and I remember how good I felt. So
Mhm.
I got this. I can move on from this.
Your debut novel tells a story that challenges easy happy endings. What do you hope readers and our listeners will take away about resilience, truth, and embracing who they are with pride?
So when I started writing Las Bugambilias, I grew up, I guess we probably mentioned this, I didn't mention it before, but not only growing up on the border, growing up in a strict religious home, But when my parents divorced, I also grew up in a home with a lot of domestic violence. My stepfather was a severe alcoholic. I mean, there was times where I only slept in my bed maybe 3 or 4 nights a week. When I was growing up, there were times where I would try to find similar stories that really kind of resonated with me.
Mm.
Um, but they, the stories like the example I give is the movie Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts, um, which, abusive husband, she escapes, she tries to make her own life, he chases her, she overcomes him. I can't remember if she kills him or he's arrested or something like that. Happy ending, story over. Growing up through that experience, um, the ending was, for me, my stepfather at the time had a quote unquote come to Jesus moment, and he stopped drinking. Good, he stopped drinking. There are still other things that still occur that, okay, now it's not the drinking, it's this other thing that,
Mm.
is a challenge. For me to write a book that just is about the thing that's immediately causing you pain is now gone and everything is okay. I didn't write my book that way. And I really felt that writing a book about conversion therapy, saying you go through conversion therapy, you feel awful, you have this horrible internal mental oppression, and then once it's gone, you feel better. It Because it wasn't necessarily like that. Yeah, there are things where some of the pressure is off, you feel the liberation, but now you have this whole other set of challenges that
Mm.
you've got to address now. And it wasn't so much about the recovery, but it is recognizing that the end of the novel was a presentation of, well, here's the rest of your life. Here's the next step in, my character's, evolution in his life. So for me to just, write something very straightforward, I couldn't. It was for one, it was just too easy. And for me, it was being giving a disservice to a lot of, what survivors go through. And the book also, the book involves conversion therapy. It involves, language identity. It involves religious identity, cultural identity, uh, all these different things, roles between men and women. Those types of things, I don't tie it up into a nice little bow and say, here's how I think the world should be. I leave a pretty open wound for people to make those questions for themselves and to try
Mm.
to answer those questions for themselves. And I think that was something that was really important. There's a quote from one of my favorite authors, Toni Morrison, who, if you've ever read some of her books, she's written Beloved, which I believe was made into a movie in the 90s by Oprah, Tar Baby, Love, Jazz, The Bluest Eye. And these novels are, they're not easy reads. They're very deep, thoughtful, heartbreaking, kind of what some people call scorched earth writing. And one of the things she said, I never wanted to write a greeting card of a novel, because I think when you write a greeting card, it's for that moment. You read it, it's good, you feel good, great. You put it in a drawer and probably never forget about it until you're moving and you're digging up, like, oh, look at all these greeting cards. Books like hers haunt and stay with you. And that's kind of what I wanted Las Vulnerabilias to be, is a book that stayed with you. And really, really just giving the dignity of people that have gone through these types of experiences, that, yeah, it's not just okay, it's over, but there's more beyond that. That life is an extension of not only the awful experiences, but what's that first step moving out past those awful experiences.
And do you think community played a really important role in your recovering?
I live in Phoenix, the most introverted city in probably the world. Manhattan fits in Phoenix city limits, I think 4 or 5 times. Yeah, it's like a third of the population. It is difficult to meet people here. It is difficult to have community here. But what I have found is the community that I have created online has really helped to give me a direction as to where to go and really finding myself in the commonality of other people and also finding people that had similar experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I have met other conversion therapy survivors. Some of their stories, I look at mine was mild in comparison to theirs. And some of their experiences do make it into the book because there were little nuances that would occur that I just would relate to and resonate with, even though they never really happened to me. And a lot of their stories were far more about physical abuse than psychological abuse. And I think finding those communities have really helped to inform me in how to move beyond past. I'm identifying as a survivor, as a person who went through conversion therapy.
Yeah.
And that conversion therapy isn't my defining aspect. There's a lot of things that define who I am. It is a part of who I am. And all that together has kind of synthesized a set of characters that now they carry that for me. So who I was having to struggle with as a person, my main character in my book, he is now a propitiation for those things that is carrying those on in the pages of the book. And that has really been the therapy that I've been finding to get those things out of me and onto the page and to say, okay, now it's in the past. And this is now my freedom to move into the next part of my life.
I would say, I would add the strength of our community is to see that we're not alone, that there's other people that went through and are going through the same thing. And just for that, to me, I think it's such a great support. That's a great way to start your healing. And to end on a good note, thank you so much, Lalo. And all your information will be linked on the bio of this episode. So your Instagram profile and your website. And also there's a link about your book, right?
Correct.
Thank you so much for being with us today. It was great to hear your story. You're a great inspiration for me and for so many others, I'm sure.
Well, thank you for having me, Steph. It's been a pleasure.
I wish you a good day. And your book is out?
Yes, my book has been out for a year now.
Oh, really?
Actually, it's just celebrated its first year. So, yeah, it's out for the world to read.
Okay, so the link is like, if I want to get it, it's all on Instagram.
It is all on Instagram. You can order it from Barnes & Noble. You can order it from Amazon, or you can order it from my website, laloleon.com. And it is available also on Kindle and ebook. However, if you are not a Spanish reader, I recommend you get the hard copy because ebooks are not formatted for bilingual novels. So at least with the paper copy, you have the translations right there. Because otherwise on an ebook, they're at the very end.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And good luck with everything. Okay. So take care. And thank you so much again. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Lalo, for sharing your story of resilience, courage, and reclaiming your life. Your courage lights the way for everyone striving to live authentically and find their own freedom. My dear friends, it is already time to say au revoir just for now. So please join me next Wednesday for another episode of the Together Moving Forward podcast. Everybody, share this podcast and spread the good news. By sharing this podcast today, you will help someone find the strength to embrace who they truly are. Wherever you are from in the world, we are all connected. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we are all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. One last thing before I go. Put your hand on your heart and repeat after me. All of us together. Every day, I choose to be kinder to myself. Yes, every day I choose to be kinder to myself. From shame, guilt, silence, and rejection to pride, freedom, healing, and love. Together moving forward. My dear friends, see you next week. Ciao. Subscribe now and share to uplift, empower, and make a real difference in our community.